stay tuned because for the next 60 minutes, Motorsports Unlimited is on the air. Hi, I'm Jerry Bryant, and these are the lovely ladies of motorsports. And all this hour, we're going to have 60 minutes of action-packed excitement. All kinds of exciting things will happen. And we got the famous Bill Wildt, and we got all kinds of other good stuff that's happening all this hour. Motorsports Unlimited, 60 minutes of non-stop action. So let's go to the studio right now.
Hi, I'm Mary Hornell.
I'm Kimberly Blackford, and we would like to welcome you to Motorsports Unlimited Part 186.
Today we have a jam-packed show beginning with a return to ABC Auto Parts in Blue Island to continue our explanation of automotive rear ends.
Actually, we explained rear ends last week. Today we're going to explain rear end related science, including sprung versus unsprung weight and the somewhat mystifying concept of stagger.
In addition to that, we're also going to take a look at Jim Watson Sr.'s original 1931 Chevy sedan, and we're going to see what happens to cars when they have reached the end of their service life. And if all that isn't enough, we're also going to revisit the Mopar Mania car show held at Oakbook Terrace Tower, and we're going to return to Strat's Drive-In for a final look at their last summer Sunday car show.
If we're going to get all this in, we'd better get started. Let's join Bill and the girls and see if we can pick up where we left off last week.
Trying to understand the exciting world of sprung versus unsprung weight.
All right, sprung and unsprung weight, and I'm just going to touch on this because, again, it's another show, and it gets involved with the independent rear ends and how they work in relationship. But remember, the important thing here is that the differential part, the heaviest part of the rear end, is bolted to the chassis and does not move up and down with the wheels. It's bolted to the chassis. It's part of the chassis of the car. And then these little light axles are what comes out of it, as opposed to this, where this entire thing sits back there and is laying on the road. Now, the ride quality of a car in great measure is going to be determined, and also the handling for that matter, is going to be determined by its sprung to unsprung weight ratio. Now, what are we talking about when we say unsprung weight? Well, what we're talking about, can you think of anything, Elizabeth?
Does it have anything to do with when you hit a bump and how?
Well, it does, but what I'm getting at first, in order to understand that the unsprung weight, I'll give you an example. The wheels are unsprung. They're sitting on the pavement. They're not part of what's sprung. The ashtray, that's sprung weight. That's sitting in the chassis of the car. There's no part of that touching the ground, so that's part of the sprung weight. So you've got sprung and unsprung weight. The object is to get the unsprung weight as light as humanly possible. And well, I'll get into it in just a little bit. To get that weight is down as far as possible, the independent rear suspension does that very well. It takes the heaviest part of the rear end and bolts it to the chassis and makes it part of the sprung weight. It moves up and down with the chassis of the car then. Whereas here on this thing, this entire rear end, the banjo unit, the differential, everything is unsprung just as the tires are. Now the best way to explain this, and I've asked people, I'm sorry, Gina?
That's something like dead weight.
Dead weight is the wrong way to put it, but for example, if you've ever seen a little light trailer going down the road, a snowmobile trailer, anything, with no weight in it, no snowmobiles, no nothing, just empty, and watch it go over bumps or over railroad tracks or something, it bounces all over the place, okay? That's because it has a poor sprung to unsprung weight ratio. Now, what's sprung and what's unsprung? Well, the wheels aren't sprung, the axle that goes across isn't sprung, a percentage of the springs aren't sprung, and then you've just got the little lightweight trailer bed, which is sprung, so you have a very uncomfortable sprung to unsprung weight ratio. Now, it changes completely as soon as you load the trailer. Put a couple of snowmobiles on that trailer, and all of a sudden you can see the thing riding nice, and the main reason is not because it's heavier, but the sprung to unsprung weight ratio has changed, and what it does is it does not allow the unsprung weight to have as much effect on the sprung portion as they had before. Now, American automobiles, and they do a good job of deadening this out by isolating it with rubber bushings and all that sort of thing. But in American cars, one of the complaints against them on these rear drive cars is when you go over railroad tracks, you almost feel like a little kick in the back as the thing goes over. And the reason is because there's such a huge lump of steel back there that is not sprung. Now, when you say a Mercedes-Benz car is over-engineered, which is a term I just don't think it's possible to be over-engineered, they go through a great deal of trouble so that when they go over a railroad track or anything, you don't get that kick in the back because it doesn't have that huge amount. Even if you're not interested in how fast you can go around corners and the wheels, this wheel hits a different bump than that wheel, and it reacts only to the bump that it hits. There's all kinds of stuff.
Do you want to say it's isolated?
It's not just a matter of isolated, it's a matter of how do you get to this real fine ride quality. Well, there's two ways to do it. You can take a car and say, well, let's just make it heavier. Instead of 4,000 pounds, let's make it 6,000 pounds. This weight all remains the same, so we've changed the sprung to unsprung. That's why a big, heavy car always kind of feels better on the highway because it has that better sprung to unsprung weight ratio. Whereas there's another way to do it, and that is and it's much harder, requires a lot of engineering, and is very expensive, and that is to reduce the unsprung weight. One thing is to go to something like this. Now, you could go even farther. This isn't even the final statement in engineering. If you'll notice, if you look over here, these are the brake discs here. Now, if you wanted to get rid of this as part of the unsprung weight, because out here by the wheel, it's not sprung, if you take this and do what they call inboard disc brakes, mount these brakes here right next to the differential so it rides with the differential, we have again reduced the unsprung weight, and that is a better way of making your car ride and handle better than to just make the car itself heavier. Does that make this is another show?
I have a question. Would you say that in general, would these cars have the same power as the ones that have the unsprung weight?
It has nothing to do with the power. It has to, because you could design these so they can handle 1,000 horsepower. You can design them so in this case, this is, I forget what he said it was, but I think it's a Mercedes diesel or something that has very little power. So it's not a matter of how much power. Putting that aside for a moment, it's how the car rides on its chassis. Now, does this make any sense at all?
Yeah, it makes pretty good sense.
Okay, it's something, like I say, it's really for another show.
It certainly helps you understand why Mercedes-Benz cost a whole lot more.
Right, because they really go through, and to the average person that's throwing groceries in the trunk and got two kids and they're just going to school and everything, maybe it isn't important to them, but those of us that appreciate this kind of an effort, it's there for a reason. It's not, there's no such thing as over-engineered. Now, I want to spend some time talking about, I'm sorry, wait just a minute. Okay. Boy, she's got the idea now, doesn't she, Chris? Just grab me and tell me, come on over here.
Okay, now when we were talking about the differentials, now does it matter which way it's turned? You mean,
yes, it does, and that's a great question. Let me bring one over here. Matter of fact, girls, why don't you all step on over here now? Let's change our positions again, because Chuck likes to go crazy with the focus control. It does make a difference in one relation. First of all, in any of these, like this kind here and everything, you really couldn't put it in but one way because it's designed that way. But let me tell you a quick little story that you might find of some interest. In the early Fords, you could put the ring gear in going to either side and the early Ford rear ends. The problem is that if you put it in the opposite way it was supposed to, whether it was going to be this way or that way, then you'd end up with 3 speeds in reverse, and reverse gear would be forward. And I can tell you, more than a few guys building hot rods had a heck of a surprise. They put everything together, thought they'd created something nice, stuck it in gear, and went backwards through their garage. So, yeah. So do you follow me? In other words, what that would do is it would reverse the power flow on the thing. Okay? Now, any other questions on this before we get into something? Go ahead.
So would this be to the left then, and when it's in the car?
Right here, we can see it in this one. The pinion is slightly to the right of the ring gear.
So this is this side.
This would go like that. I don't know if that's visible or not. That would go like that in there. And that, all of this fits in here, or as you can see, it's still sticking out of here. Okay? And that's what the rear end does. Now, I want to get into something that is any more questions? I don't want to, okay? I want to go into something that's real important, and it has to do with these rear ends again. So we're going to have to move some stuff around. Gina, I think it's your turn. What do you want to tell our audience?
Don't go away, we'll be right back.
So that's why I've always liked Mercedes-Benz automobiles. Their favorable sprung to unsprung weight ratios. Now that we've got that down pat, let's see if Bill can help us understand stagger.
We are back, and I want to talk about tire stagger. Elizabeth, you're new with this. Tire stagger. Does it mean anything to you? Okay. Marche, come on out here then, and I want you to explain it to her.
I don't know what stagger means.
I know, I'm only teasing. I know that you don't. Okay, for those, I want to point something out when you roll this rear end, and we're going to do this a couple things so that the guys can be prepared. We're going to just shoot a piece of this. Gina, you and Elizabeth, I want you to roll this thing again, and again, I want you to kind of let it do its natural roll, just like if you were the power. Say what?
Just push it lightly.
Yes, just push it right along, and Chuck, I want you to follow, and I want you to try to turn it. As you're doing it, go ahead and try to turn it again like you did before. What?
Phil, you can't turn it.
Okay, just keep coming a little bit more. Okay, good. Right here, we'll stop right here. Now, turn and face the camera, both of you. Okay, what did you just find out? Was it wants to go straight?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I told you before, there are some race cars, we used to take and weld up the spider gears in the rear ends, and there are some race cars like sprint cars.
Is that the part with the big wheel and the little wheel?
That's the part, okay, that's the part. Now, there are some race cars like sprint cars, midgets, and just about any kind of dirt race car, stock cars, what have you, that run solid rear ends like this, where, as you can see, they want to go straight, right?
Right.
How do they make them go around the corners then?
I don't.
Wait a minute, Chris, you say you know? Come on over here. Come on over here.
Wouldn't the right wheel be smaller than the left wheel?
Which one? Say it again.
No, the left wheel would be smaller than the right wheel
Why?
because it has to travel a shorter distance.
Okay, we're going to find out. I want you to tell that camera.
Oh, okay, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's see if I understand this. If both tires on a common axle are the same size and we push the axle, the assembly goes straight. Some oval track race cars have axle assemblies like this, so how do you get them to go around corners?
We have correctly identified that in order to make this thing go around the corner when we have a solid axle car, we have to make one wheel smaller than the other. Now the reason being, and I'm going to have you guys do this, but not right now because we've already measured them, is we took a tape measure. Let me get the tape measure here so we can show the audience what we're talking about. And we're going to have you guys do one of these. But we took a tape measure and measured around the circumference of the tire like this. All the way around. The circumference of this tire, and once again, I want to thank these guys. These guys did a terrific job of setting up all this equipment for us to demonstrate this. The circumference of this tire is 74 inches. The circumference of that one is 86 inches. Now, Marche, what do you think happens? Now remember, they're both going to turn the same speed. What do you suppose is going to happen when we roll this axle?
It's going to turn.
Okay, which way is it going to turn?
It's going to turn to the right
And why is it going to do that?
because it has to go shorter distance.
Okay, doesn't that mean it's going to turn to the left? Walk
right
over
side.
there. Let me show you. Walk over there. Okay, stand here. Now, which way is it going to turn?
It's going to turn to the left.
To the left. Reason being, and we've already marked down some things. Let's just see how accurate we are. We've already marked out, stay right where you're at. We put a mark on the floor here, and we come down here, and I made this mark 86 inches further down. That's one revolution of the tire. We made this mark another 86 inches down. That's the second revolution of the tire. This mark over here is 72 inches, or 74 inches from that mark. That's one revolution. As you can see, it's already shorter to there. And this one here is another 74 inches. So if you'll notice, we're a couple of feet shorter here on this side than we are on that. All right? Now, Marche, go ahead and demonstrate. Go ahead and roll that axle, and let's see if we come up about right. Let's see if the wheel tends to, pardon me?
It's going to turn.
Okay, keep it coming. Keep it coming. Okay, good, right there. Okay, now, turn around. Face the camera. What happened here?
The wheel turned.
Okay, it turned the entire assembly because they both have to take and cover the amount of circumference that they have to cover, right?
Right.
Now, one of the places, probably there's 2 or 3 examples. Let's talk about Santa Fe Speedway for a minute, and they run outlaw sprint cars there, run there occasionally. It's an extremely tough track to set stagger on. This difference, 74 inches to 86 inches, is called stagger. All right? Right now we've got 12 inches of stagger. That would be referred to as 12 inches of stagger. Okay? Now, Santa Fe Speedway is a very, very tough track for the sprint cars to set up for. And the reason it's a tough track is because their long track that they run on is actually a quarter-mile track with just extended straightaways. So it has like quarter-mile tight, quarter-mile turns with long half-mile straightaways. Now, the problem is this. Because the turns are so tight, they have to run a lot of stagger to get the car to go through those corners. They've got to run a ton of stagger to get it to turn. But what do you suppose happens on the straightaway?
I guess they would have to change tires, right?
Oh, no, no, no. They're going down this thing. They're racing down the straightaway and then racing through the corners. Now, what happens on a straightaway? Follow me.
Okay, I guess they would have a differential, some kind of differential in there.
Come on with me. No differential. None at all. Now what?
You fight with the wheel.
Say what?
You fight with the steering wheel.
You guessed it. What I'm getting at is if you want to see a show, you catch the Outlaw Sprint Cars at Santa Fe. And by the way, Chuck, I apologize. I'm sure he's going crazy trying to focus us walking back and forth. You want to watch these guys. Forget about watching them in the corners. Go to Santa Fe Speedway, stand at the end of the straightaway. These cars at that point will be running 135, 140 miles an hour with much more stagger than this. And these cars do not want to go in a straight line. They don't even, they want to turn. And I'm telling you, these guys are literally leaping 4 and 5 feet to the left every 30, 40 yards. These cars are just almost out of control. Yes, Chris?
A drag racer is not interested in stagger.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Okay, now, Elizabeth, I want you to come back over here now. And Gina, I want you to give her a hand. And what I want you guys to do, I want you to demonstrate the problem on the straightaway. What I want you to do is to roll this, but I don't want it to turn. Can you do it?
I could try.
Okay. Now that means you've got to push harder.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Go ahead, really try.
I'm not a steering wheel, but
Keep trying.
can I move it?
No, 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 no. But again, it's still turning again.
I don't know what to tell you, Bill.
Okay, can you see where that would be a problem?
Yes.
Okay, Elizabeth, turn around here so we can both face the camera. Both of you guys face the camera. Okay, you can see the problem they've got when we work with these solid, what we call solid rear axles or locked differentials. We have a real problem with getting these cars to go down a straightaway. And one of the things, what I'm getting at here, I guess, is to help the public understand that a race car's driver isn't just about steering. Yes, these are courageous people with tons of driving skill and all that. But I don't care how good the driver is. If he doesn't have these things set up right for the car that he's in and for the track that he's on, he's not going to beat anybody. Perhaps some of the best drivers around are on our, right now are on our Winston Cup circuit, on the NASCAR racing. Dale Earnhardt, as good as he is, when the car isn't set up right, watch him go back in the pack. It happens every time. If they don't, I'm sorry, Christine, come on down here.
This is an exaggerated stagger, though. If you were talking about a NASCAR stock car, the stagger wouldn't be that exaggerated, would it?
Good point. Marche, come on down here. We don't want to leave you out of these pictures. Come right around over here by me. Over here. Yes, you're exactly correct. When you're talking, every track requires different stagger. The one that I explained, Santa Fe Speedway, that is a very tough stagger problem because of the real tight turns. They've got to run a ton of stagger. They have no choice, or they're not going to get the car to go through those corners.
So would this tire be smaller then?
This one would be much, much bigger. This one would be about this size. This would be much, much bigger. And by the way, when you watch some of these cars going, you'll start to understand, if you understand how the vehicle is set up, you'll start to understand what they're trying to accomplish. Watch the sprint cars. When they go to the corner, like at a Santa Fe Speedway, or for that matter, a Kankakee Speedway, it doesn't make any difference what, any of these good dirt tracks, when they get to the corner, you'll see them maybe lightly lift on the gas, maybe not, and then jump on it real hard. The reason they jump on the throttle real hard is to turn the car. It's not going to turn with the steering wheel. If this isn't right, that car is going to go straight. Just like you guys just saw that when we had both sides the same. If they don't have any stagger going in, I don't...
Try to square the car with the corners.
Well, it's not that. It's what I'm getting at is when the guys, remember what happens for a particular sprint car, you're talking about 700-800 horsepower, 1,500-pound car, it's an extremely light car, and literally the front wheels are just barely dancing on the surface. So when that driver is approaching that corner and he wants to turn left, turning the wheels are almost going to be kind of hopeless.
What size are the front tires? Are
Just
they the same size?
roughly, yeah, they're roughly the same size and they're small. So as you're approaching that corner, when he jumps on the throttle, that lightens the front end. Remember, we're talking about rear drive car. All the power goes to the rear wheels, rear drive car. It tends to lift the front end even harder off the ground, so the steering has almost no control. But if you have the stagger just right, when he nails that throttle, it literally lifts the nose of the car and turns it in the corner. It's really a pretty thing to watch when it's done well. And all of this information, by the way, we know we have lots of brave 20-year-olds running around. You show me a young 20-year-old male wants to be a race car driver, and he'll he'll drive through walls. He doesn't care. But you don't see a lot of 20-year-olds. You don't see a lot of 20-year-olds jump up and challenge a Sammy Swindell or a Kinzer, because it takes years to develop all of this knowledge. And I don't care how brave you are, if you don't have this right, you're going through the fence. You're not going to turn, or you're going to spin a thing because you've got too much stagger and just spin out.
But I'm saying now, this was an exaggeration, the difference between the two, 74 and 86.
No, it's only an exaggeration if we're talking about NASCAR. For example, if you go
That's
to
what I'm saying.
if you go to a track like let's say Daytona 500, you go to Daytona Speedway. It's a high bank track, and that means you can almost run the car flat. Flat means no stagger at all.
Okay.
But maybe they'll run a half an inch of stagger, something like that, where the outside tire is maybe a
That's what
half
I'm
inch
saying.
bigger.
It becomes minuscule compared to this.
And it has to do with the track. For example, we used to run Joliet Memorial Stadium, which was an extremely flat track. They ran midgets on it and all that. Almost a negative camber track. It was so flat, it was almost negative. Under those circumstances, you needed a real exaggerated stagger to make it go around those corners. On the other hand, if you go to like a Slinger Speedway, Slinger in Wisconsin, it's like a bowl. It's extremely stacked up. There, the track is actually doing the stagger for you. You can almost run the car flat there. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you think you give up? Let me roll this back just a little bit. What do you think you give up when you run stagger? Let's say, for example, why wouldn't you just run a lot of stagger and say, I just want to be able to get through those corners and I'll be careful on the straightaway that the thing doesn't want to pitch me to the left all the time? What do you think you give up?
Don't you need more speed to go on the straightaway?
How would the stagger affect that?
It would make you go slower
Why?
because you're forcing it to go one way and the tires want to go the other way.
Well said. You picked up on that very, very well. You're exactly correct. It takes power, as you guys saw, to try to get this one to go straight now. It would really take power to get this tire to scrub for what that tire is doing, right? I mean, I think you can understand it. So it takes, the reason that you don't want to run too much stagger is because you give away straightaway speed. So what you're looking for is that balance. You need the ability to get through the corner. You've got to have enough stagger for that, but you don't want to give up so much straightaway speed. And that's why some of the sharpest race car drivers, that's really what they're getting paid for, is knowing those things and being able to communicate all that. Now I'm hearing the beep. Gina, what are we going to tell the audience?
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
I am surprised. That actually does make sense, and there is apparently a lot more to being a successful race car driver than I would have guessed. Let's return to ABC Auto Parts and thank the guys that went through so much work to make our demonstrations possible.
I think we've covered everything about rear ends. Does anybody have any questions about this business of stagger, about how a differential works, about when we don't use a differential? By the way, you should also know that, like for NASCAR stock cars, sometimes some tracks they'll run an open gear on, some tracks they'll run, I'm going to say Posi-Traction. It's not a Posi-Traction that they run lockers, and they have they're kind of the similar kind of trick devices though. And it depends on the track and depends on whether they're spinning the tires hard coming out of the corners or they're concerned about straightaway speed or anything like that. But as you can see, I think you would agree, Marche, we talked about this, there's more to a rear end than you might think, isn't there?
Yes, it is, and I think it's a great opportunity to see what's inside the car and not just the outside of it, you know.
And to understand how they work and all that. Now listen, you guys, I've got to really thank you guys. You went through a ton of trouble here. I should tell the folks that you made these so we could demonstrate the stagger out of a couple of drive shafts and weld them together. You made 2 sets of them for them. We certainly appreciate it. One other thing, we've got Joe standing back here. We can get him on camera. What do you think?
Sure.
I want to mention something else. Do these 2 guys look alike or what? Are these a couple of brothers? I mean, it is real obvious. Joe, step right down in here for a second. We would have liked to have called you in on this as a technical expert on something, but that's not now we should remind our audience that Joe's been on our program before. And matter of fact, why don't you reintroduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, I'm Joe Watson.
Joe, you're not really a mechanical guy though, right?
No.
You've been watching us, in fact, you've been watching us tape here all day. Did you learn anything from this? Is there anything you didn't know?
Oh yeah, I was sitting in the back over here talking to him the whole time going, so that's what that means. So that's
No, we should admit that Joe is the guy, you do the sort of the paperwork around here.
Oh yeah, computers and that, yeah.
But he is something else that he just got, and I spent a lot of time warning this guy, right? What did you just buy?
1990 VFR 750.
Yeah, very fast Honda motorcycle, very great weapon, and we want to see you around, buddy, so please be careful on this stuff. I tell, in fact, our audience is familiar with that from time to time on the show. I mentioned nobody loves motorcycles more than I do, but I know that you can get hurt on them and get killed, and that's not fun. So please always be afraid of them a little bit. In fact, one of the things I always do is I recommend, there was a book written several years ago called Murder Cycles from a woman that was trying to get motorcycles banned, and she compiled all the information of the kinds of injuries and blah, 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 and it was a very well-written book, and what it does is scare you to death. And I recommend everybody that's a motorcyclist read it, because you ought to be scared before you get on, because that's the way to approach motorcycles and enjoy them. Pardon me?
Respect them.
Yeah, have great respect for these things, because they can't hurt you. Paul, would you agree with that? You've been a biker for a long time.
Sure, you can get hurt in a heartbeat.
Well, you really can, so it's really up to you to be heads up and pay attention. By the way, I don't know, are you a biker too?
Yes,
Now, I got to ask him, because I got a feeling Paul doesn't agree. Is he really a biker?
soon.
In other words, what you're saying is he doesn't have a Harley, does he?
Right.
It is a continual embarrassment to Paul that his brother doesn't have a Harley. Am I correct?
Well, he's working on it. He doesn't have the money yet.
Anyhow, I think we've covered everything about rear ends. If not, we can just come down and do some more work with this stuff. Again, I want to thank you guys for all the effort you went through. This is really something special. It makes it a lot easier for us to explain this stuff to the general public. Who's going to tell the camera? All four of you together.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
As much as Bill loves motorcycles, he always wants to remind folks to be careful. While the book Murder Cycles was written primarily to make a case for banning motorcycles, something Bill is adamantly opposed to, it does offer sobering statistical information that all motorcyclists ought to be aware of. Now let's join Joe Watson as he shows off his father's very original find of the century.
Check you later, gonna make some time. No worries today, but he been feeling just fine. God bless the motorcycle man. He got it bad, the motorcycle man.
All right, we've done all kinds of cruising cars here in the past few weeks, but girls, tell me, what do you think? Is this a good cruising car?
Oh, yes, it is.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Marche, do you know what it is?
No, I don't.
Okay, we're going to find out about it. Let me get back here to the girls on this end of the thing. Gina, do you know what this is?
It's a Ford.
Chris?
No.
Joe? Talk to us. This is your dad's car, and we couldn't get him out here. You said we wouldn't be able to get him out of here, and you were right. What kind of car we got here?
It's a 31 Chevy.
Okay, it's not just a 31 Chevy. I know a little about this because I talked to you. In fact, your dad took me for a ride in this thing, and I wish we could have gotten him out here on camera. This is about as special as they come. It is a completely original antique car. And tell me, how did he get it?
He got it from a dealership in Iowa. The gentleman traded it in for a new, I think, Regal.
Okay, in other words, you guys have a car dealership in Iowa, and this was just something that a guy just walked in and traded in?
Yep.
Okay, let me tell you folks, you would not believe how original this thing is. It has never been restored. When you open the door, in fact, I'm going to do this. I don't think the camera is going to be able to pick up on any of this. We're going to give it a try. On these older cars, the way they were built, all these floorboards were all wood, and usually those things are all rotted away for years. It's the first thing that people that restore the cars have to replace and all that because it's wood. This has all the original flooring, has the original jack in it, I think an original manual.
Yeah, everything's all original. And he drives it around. The people know him in Blue Island. They know where he's been. And
yeah, it really is. In fact, I'll tell you one point I want to make, and I know you guys are absolutely freezing, so we're going to finish this up real quick. But I'll tell you something. Years ago, there used to be things about people always wonder what happened to the promise of the auto industry, and I'm a person that believes the auto industry has met its promise. And people talk about what happened to the promise of the auto industry. They said when they were building cars like these that eventually they would be able to have 10-to-1 compression and be getting 35 miles to the gallon and 40 miles to the gallon. And what happened? What most people don't realize, and it surprised even me when I got in here, is, boy, these cars were small inside back then.
oh yeah, it's really small.
Yeah, smaller than most sports cars you sit in. So yeah, if we still built cars this size, sure, you could get 40 miles to the gallon, no problem. We just don't build things this little anymore. Christine, what do you think? You look like you're really cold. You want to try getting to sit in this thing?
Sure. Sure.
Gina, what do you think?
I think it's beautiful.
Isn't it unbelievably original? I mean, everything, the upholstery, if you look at the headliner, everything is original. Nothing has been redone.
Another room.
What?
There's feather room.
Right, but isn't it amazingly small inside?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and that's what people don't realize, how small the original cars were. Anyhow, let me get back over here to the other girls. Guys, did you learn now what kind of a car this was? It was a 31 Chevrolet. The thing I want you to understand was this is not a hot rod or anything like that. It is a completely original 31 Chevy, 31 Joe? A completely original car, and he drives it all over Blue Island. It's very well known. It runs beautifully. He even took me for a ride in it. It's really something special. Anyhow, want to tell the camera something?
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
It's hard to believe that it's still possible to find cars like that, especially when you know what happens to most cars when they get past their useful lifespan. Let's watch.
One of the things that we like to use our public access television show for is to try to help the public understand some different perspectives. One of the criticisms we hear about the automobile all the time is that it's a polluter, it pollutes our society and all that. What people don't realize is that the automobile, more than anything else, is responsible for our society not being polluted. As an example, and I wish I had the exact numbers to give you, I don't have the book and the statistics in front of me, but a very interesting study was done at the turn of the century. Something like 100,000 tons of horse manure had to be removed from New York City every single day, and something like 50,000 gallons of horse urine every day, and the cities would be absolutely unlivable if we didn't have automobiles because of what the horses did. It would be disease infested and all that. People don't think about that. The automobile is really responsible for not having pollution. In addition to that, I can't think of a vehicle that is more, in a very real sense, a more efficient vehicle, in that people are put to work building these things, designing them, creating them, people selling them, people fixing them, and when we're all done with them, they end up at a junkyard where people like myself, racers, pull off the good parts, and when that's all done, they get crushed, melted down, and recycled into new cars. So I don't think they're polluters at all. I think society should be thankful for the automobile. What we're standing in front of, and I know you guys are free. Everybody cold?
Yes!
Okay. These guys are freezing to death, so I don't want to make this too long of a speech. We are standing in front of this crusher, and I guess we could call it, and I'm never quite sure whether this is ABC or Circus Junkyard, but it's one of them, and we are going to show what happens to a car when after its bones have been picked, and we got all the good stuff out and everything, before it actually goes and becomes another car. Girls, you're standing in front of a thing that's called a car crusher. We're going to watch a car get crushed. And guys on the camera, if you would, I'd like you to pan over to the left. We've got a fellow named Bill, I understand, and he's got a car, looks like a Pontiac, I'm guessing, and this is the thing we're going to crush.
There is a house in New Orleans. They call the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. Oh God, I know I'm the one.
It's going in the crusher right now.
Look at it.
Is there going to be pieces flying out there? I hope not.
They put the whole thing in there. You can see what happens. It draws the gas, everything. The whole car. That's unbelievable. I can't believe it. Look at it.
There you go.
Everything is popping out. I can't believe it. It's unreal.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
You can make a tin can
Oh, there it goes. It's getting crushed.
Well, that's what the car does.
Smush. Anything's going to pop out?
It's just like a piece of tin.
It's boiling down to nothing.
Just like it was made out of paper.
Aluminum can. That's what it is.
That has to weigh tons.
Oh, wow.
There go the tires.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Look at the rear end.
I know.
It's like a pancake.
Yeah, a little pancake.
Oh, man. Holy cow. They smash it down and
Oh, wow. Does it get smaller than that?
How long does that take, Bill, to smash it?
I don't know, but that is a good question. We'll have to ask.
Oh, it didn't smash the rear end.
So that is how small it gets? It doesn't get any flatter than that?
From here, as I understand it, it goes to the shredder.
Oh, and what's it do at a shredder?
Shreds it into tiny pieces.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my God. That is flat.
That is flat, yep.
Holy cow.
Jim, come on out here now. Jim? Okay, the girls are asking, first of all, do you have any idea how many tons of pressure it takes to do that?
That I don't.
Okay, the second question that they have is what happens now?
Well, we get a few, 3 or 4 crushed together, and we set them in that big truck right over there.
And where do they go then?
Them in the back to the shredder.
To the shredder, so these get shredded into even tinier pieces.
Right.
Okay, folks, and that's really what I wanted to explain. The automobile is really a recyclable resource. So the next time you see the tailpipe and you wonder about the smoke, I want you to think about all the horse manure that they had and I mean thousands of tons every day in New York City, and cities would be absolutely unlivable if it weren't for the automobile, and it's because it doesn't pollute very much, and it's actually pretty efficient as a recyclable product. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Bill makes a good point that I've never heard before. Maybe the automobile isn't the enemy that many try to make us think. Now, as promised, let's revisit the Mopar Mania car show held August 18th at the Oakbook Terrace Tower and meet some folks that are Chrysler product fans and aren't about to let their car near a crusher.
We're here with
Joe, Moose Bickler.
And where are you from?
Franklin Park.
Okay, you want to tell us the type of car you have and a little bit about it?
It's a 71 Challenger RT. It's original 383 car. It now has a 440. It has 12.8 to 1 compression, a Hemi 4-speed, and a 456 Dana rear end.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Well, nicely done, Kim. Are you getting the hang of this?
Yeah, I am.
You got his name and where he's from?
Joe from Franklin Park.
Will you get a last name?
I can't pronounce it.
Moose Bickler.
I can't pronounce it either. Okay. Christine, what do you think? Nice car?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you'd enjoy riding this.
All the cars here today were just gorgeous.
She's got her shoes off. Can you believe this? Shay, find out about these guys.
Yes. Hi, I would like to get your name.
Jeff Pieskowy.
Your name?
Pete Kugolski.
And where are you from?
Darien, Illinois.
You too?
Downers Grove.
Okay, can you tell us about this car?
Yes, it's a 1970 Dodge Challenger convertible, obviously. We put a 340 engine in it. It's automatic, and I don't know, it's basically stock. Well, headers.
Did you do all this work yourself?
Well, no, we didn't do all the work ourselves. It's a paint job that we had done, but the rest of the engine work and everything, the interior, we did all ourselves. So.
I see. Okay, maybe we can get Bill in now and give us more information.
Okay, the only question that I have, you guys are both real young. How old are you?
17.
And?
17.
Okay, I would think that you would be more attracted to something like a 50 Mustang or something like that rather than an earlier car.
Well, no Mustangs. I don't know. I'm in a Mopar family. I got 2 older brothers. My dad's been hooked on Mopar since ever he was little, and I don't know, ever since then we just Mopar family.
Okay, I think that's interesting that there's, even at your age, that because obviously they haven't made V8s in a long time, so.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Kind of hard to be a fan.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys. Okay, Lilan, and you know what to do here. Kind of ignore the guy, get the pretty girl in it.
Okay, doke. Your name, please?
Kim.
And I guess we have to ask your name, too.
Oh, thank you. Jerry Pieskowy. I'm Jeff's brother.
Oh, I see. And you are from?
Darien also.
And you're from?
Burridge.
I see. And can you tell us a little bit about the car?
Yeah, it's a 1970 Dodge Challenger convertible, as you can see. RT model. It's a 383 Magnum 4-speed transmission.
Okay, and is it your car or is it her car?
Oh, it's my car. It's my car, yeah.
So what do you do with the car? Just kind of ride in it?
Ride in it.
Good idea. Bill, do you want to ask anything?
Just one question. Did you get your brother into the Chrysler product stuff?
Yeah, it's a family thing. You know, we got 6 total Challengers and one Plymouth Cuda, so we have fun with it.
Kind of be hard to be a fan now without even the V8 being offered anymore.
Oh yeah, it is tough, but Chrysler's doing their best to come back with something, so I'm confident that in the near future it will be something.
Okay, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. And now, Gina, this is your turn. And remember, I just told the other guy too, you got to ask the guy his name and everything, but talk to the pretty girl usually.
Hi, and your name is?
Starlene Bruner.
It's Gary Brunner.
And where are you from?
Elgin, Illinois.
Elgin.
Okay, would you like to tell me a little bit about the car?
Yeah, it's a 1971 Duster with a 340 engine in it. It's got a 4-speed transmission and 391 Posi rear end.
Okay, how did you buy the car?
Well, actually, I purchased it. I traded for a Chevy Camaro, and I had my fill with Chevrolets, and I had to get the good stuff, so I traded for this Duster here.
Okay, Bill?
Okay, once again, interesting. I want to point out to the audience, we are kind of in a Challenger CUDA row here, and this happens to be a Duster, which is a different breed of cat. But I was interested in what you were saying. It was a very definite brand distinction that made you select this car. You wanted a Chrysler product.
Oh, yeah, like they say, Mopar religion, believe in it, get your doors blown off,
Folks, I'm telling you, there is, in motorsport, it doesn't make any difference if you're talking about motorcycles and you're into Harleys or whatever, there is very definitely brand loyalty, and it is very serious with these folks. I want you to look at the camera now. What do you want to think? What do you think I want you to tell the camera?
See you later.
No, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Now that's what should happen to old cars. Let's look at more.
Hi, I'm Lyle Ann Seeger, and welcome back to Motorsports. We're still here with Challengers and CUDAs.
Well, Lyle, that was real sweet, but I do have a question for you. Do you have any idea what a CUDA is?
No, sir, I don't.
I'm only teasing. You'll see in a minute. In fact, I'll take you down and show you one. Let's get over here first of all. And Gina, perhaps you can find out a little bit about these guys?
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Bill Pluto.
And?
Jason Devaney.
Okay, where are you from, Bill?
Oaklawn, Illinois. Elsip, Illinois.
Okay, would you care to tell me a little bit about the car?
Okay, it's a 1971 Dodge Challenger RT.
Okay, Bill?
Guys, what engine?
383 Magnum.
You're young to have a car like this. No interest in like a 5.0 Mustang or something?
No, sir. Nothing like a Mopar. They're unique.
So you're into the Mopars?
Definitely.
Great. Okay. Byland, follow me down a little bit here. Come right on over here. This gentleman we had on our program once before. He had a magnificent Hemi, but Marche, I'll let you do the honors.
Okay. I would like to get your name.
Gregory Cotton.
And where you're from.
I'm from Lyons, Illinois.
Okay, how about your name, sir?
Roger Neller.
And where you're from?
Brookfield.
Who does these cars belong to?
Greg. Belongs to me.
Okay, have you repaired them and remodeled them all yourself?
Yes, I've done all the work myself. I bought this car in April. It was a complete basket case. I've reassembled it and got it running, and it's in the show now.
Okay, maybe Bill has some questions. Just a moment.
Just one. What happened to your Hemi?
I sold it. And right after your show, I got an offer I couldn't refuse.
Boy, I'm telling you, because this one isn't.
No, this is a 440 Magnum, original RT car with factory air and cruise.
You're not sorry you got rid of the Hemi?
You're always sorry when you get rid of a car like that.
You bet. Anyhow, this I'm sure is going to be just as nice as the other one?
Yes, it will.
Okay, thanks for talking to us. Lyland, keep coming with me. Christine, we'll let you do the honors.
Okay, would you tell us your name and where you're from?
I'm John Slack, and I'm from Rockford, Illinois.
John, tell us about your car.
It's a 70 Challenger, plum crazy. It's a non-RT car. Has air conditioning, and it's from California.
Did it come with air conditioning?
Yes.
Okay, Bill.
Okay, great car, and now we've got to explain to Lyland. First of all, Kim, we'll have you do the honors with these fellas, and then we've got something to show Lyland.
Okay, hi, I'm here with
Sam Fiacato.
and
Andre Ravaco.
and where are you two from?
Countryside, Illinois.
And you?
Countryside, Illinois.
Okay. You have a beautiful car here. You want to tell me something about it?
It's a Barracuda, and my dad would probably be more.
Okay.
It's a 1970 Plymouth AAR. It was only produced 1 year. The graphics and the blacked out hood and so forth were standard from the factory, and that was because it was designed as a oval car for Trans Am purposes. And that's the reason they blacked it out, because of the glare as you would drive in an oval track situation. Would keep the glare off from the driver's eyes and so forth. But this is a modified car. It's a 440 with two barrels on it. It should have a 340 six-pack in it, but this is the way I bought the car, as a modified car, and I brought it here to try and sell it today, but so far not too good.
Well, it's a very beautiful car.
Thank you.
Bill?
Okay, Lyland, now I'm going to give you the answers real quick, and we've got to run quickly with this. Just step back here. Now, did you know what a Challenger was?
No.
Oh, I thought you just didn't know the Cudas. Anyhow, Chrysler Corporation's version, you know what Mustangs are and Camaros?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Chrysler came out with, in their Dodge line, they called them Challengers, and in the Plymouth line, they called them Cudas. Okay. And this was the Cuda version down here, and those that we just saw are all Challenger versions, but essentially it's what they call their pony car class, their entry into the pony car class, meaning Mustang-like cars.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Save you.
Okay, now what do you want to tell that camera?
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
We should remind our audience that these great cars are all Mopars because these interviews were done at the all Mopar Mania car show. We've got some great Chevys coming up, but first, let's look at two more very special Challengers.
Well, we've got another one of those rare 340 Mopar 6-packs, and your name is?
Nick DiDomenico.
Where are you from, Nick?
Naperville.
What kind of trans?
It's a 4-speed.
How long have you had the car?
Since 1983.
Did you buy it this way or did you restore it yourself?
I was half painted in pieces when I bought the car. Was in two different garages.
Okay, question I ask everybody, why Mopars?
I just like the Mopars. I like all cars, but I'm partial to Mopars. I don't really know why.
Just these specific years, or would you like a 57 Chrysler 300 or something like that?
Yeah, all years.
So you like all of the Mopar stuff?
From I'd say about 1955 on up.
Okay, this is a great car. I'm sure you know that the 346 packs were rarer really than the 446 packs.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice piece. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. We got another one next to us over here. And we are looking at, Lyle-Ann, I've had you over here now. We just went through the instruction. What kind of a car? Oh, no, you're not going to look.
I don't know.
Come here. I want you to look on the hood. On the hood. On the hood up there. This is the hood.
Cuda.
Okay, I'm only teasing you. First of all, we always talk to the girls first. Your name?
Kathy Coleman.
Say again?
Kathy Coleman.
And where are you from, Kathy?
Melrose Park.
And your name?
Lon Coleman, Melrose Park.
Also from Melrose Park. Tell us about your car.
It's a 73 Cuda, 340. We've had it 2 years. We were down south in Virginia on vacation, and we seen it at a little dealer. And we got lucky, knew nothing about them, and got lucky. When I got home, I found out about numbers and all that stuff. Everything on it's original. Everything matches the number.
Really? Wow. Let me explain. Yes, let me explain to our audience what that means. It means this car, as you see it here, was as it was originally produced. We're talking about the right engine, the right transmission, the right rear end. All the numbers match.
Right.
What's that, Christine?
How unlikely to find a car like that just sitting there?
Well, unlikely is a good word. How valuable is another word.
How lucky and how happy.
Okay, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Christine, you haven't said it yet today.
I forgot.
Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
The Mopars are terrific cars, but we don't want to forget our Chevy fans. Through the magic of TV, let's revisit the September Sunday Strat's Car Show. Here's Kim Donahue to say it just right.
How about something for the Chevy lovers out there?
Well, what do you think, girls? Corvette heaven here?
I like them.
Boy, who doesn't like a Corvette?
Yeah, really.
Okay, but we've got something to look at first that precedes the ages of the Vette that we're going to look at. What do you guys think of that Nova over there, Barb?
That's nice. Nice Nova. Very good.
Yeah. Do you know it's got a 427 in it?
No, because I haven't looked at it yet.
But you'd know what that was, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, would you know what that was?
No.
No. But you like it anyway?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You want to know what the name of that car is?
It's a Nova.
No, it's Elvira.
It is?
Yeah, it's got a mural of Elvira on the hood, and it's got things hanging inside. I'm going to go over and talk to him. You guys stay right
Elvira?
here. What's that?
Where's Elvira?
Maybe in the car. Subi? Do you know the name of this car?
This should be more than obvious, Bill.
What is it?
Elvira.
Okay, and you know why I picked you to do this interview then, right?
No, I don't, but I'll find out. Okay, sir, your name?
Rich Cleveland,
And where are you from?
Elmhurst.
Okay, and what would you like to tell us about your car?
It's 427 Nova. It's painted with Elvira on the hood. She's one of my fans, and I like her a lot. And it's just a nice hobby. It really is. Keeps me off the streets and keeps me at home too. My wife loves it when I'm working on the car.
What kind of modifications did you do to it?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just a paint job and a couple engine variations in it, and just to have fun with. That's all.
Nice ride, have a good time in. Okay, Bill, any questions?
Yeah, just real quick, when I chatted with you earlier, you said you ran a supercharger on it for a while and a variety of other things, and now you've converted it more to a just cruising car?
Yeah, because I had too many problems when it rained. I was outdoors at all the shows and stuff, and every time I'd go home and it'd get weather like this, and it'd be pulling over to stop. So I put everything under the hood, keep it there, and it runs a lot better.
Sounds like you've had the car for a while.
4 years now.
Yeah, it's a nice piece. Thanks for spending a little time with us. Okay, well, don't be... okay, he just mentioned something. It's clouding over, and we are starting to get a little bit concerned about rain. Dawn, what do you think? Is this a car for you?
Yes, definitely.
You could live with this?
Uh-huh.
Okay, maybe you can find out a little bit about these folks.
Hello, I want the name and where you're from each of you.
Robin from Hillside.
Dan from Downers Grove.
Could you tell us a little bit about your car?
It's a 1973 Corvette with a 427 L88 motor in it.
What's that? I don't know.
It's a special race motor that GM produced.
Bill, do you have any technical questions?
Yes. Now, wait just a minute, Dawn. This is discouraging for guys like us. You know, we spend an awful lot of money trying to impress young girls like yourself. You don't know what an L88 motor is?
No.
How can we explain that easily?
It's an aluminum-headed 427 big block Chevy motor.
Probably better to say it was perhaps the all-time killer motor that Chevy ever produced.
Right.
Yeah, this thing will get sideways at 80 miles an hour on a highway. You can jump on it and get sideways.
Yes.
Yeah, this is something special. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Marche? What do you think? Is this one for you?
I think this one would be for me just fine.
Okay, maybe you can find out a little about these folks.
Okay. Can I please get your name and then where you're from?
Ron
Your last name?
Dufek.
How about you?
Chili Christensen, Downers Grove.
Can you tell me a little about your car?
It's a 1977 Corvette. It's got a 350 automatic.
Did you do any of the rebuilding of the car or paint job or anything?
No, the car was painted 2 years ago.
I see. Bill, you have any questions?
Yeah, one question, and one thing we've been noticing throughout the day here, it's not universal, but as we've gone through the eras of the different street rods, starting with the pre-1949 cars, going through the 50s cars, the 60s cars, and today the 70s cars, the people that have owned them and driven them and appreciated them have been younger and younger and younger. You're obviously very young. Do you see a relationship between that, the years that the cars that people select and their age?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it is sort of, because this is perhaps something you reach back for from...
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess what I'm asking is, how old are you?
I'm 21.
So, yeah, well, this is actually kind of an old car for you too then.
Sort of, yes.
Yeah, okay, but, and why do you do this?
Hobby, fun, daily transportation.
More important, why do you do this?
Just with him.
You're stuck with him, right? Okay, Marche, what do you want to tell that camera over there?
We'll be right back?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Of course, everyone loves Corvettes, but as we've pointed out all summer, the variety at car shows is unbelievable. Let's look at a very unusual choice.
Hi, we're back, and we have here.
Tasso. Tom.
And what are your last names?
Diamond. Diamond, we're brothers.
Okay, and what town are you from?
Chicago.
Same. Okay, what kind of car do we have, and tell us a little bit about it?
74 Buick Electra. Got custom paint, 455 stage 1 motor.
Okay.
Built up from the works.
Did you do the work yourselves?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're going to answer. All right. Bill, do you want to say anything?
Well, just one thing. Obviously, this is an unusual car, unusual selection. Put a lot of work into it like this. I can point out to our audience that there's a significant amount of paint work here, along with the aluminum wheels and all that. Why a 74 Buick?
No one else has one like that.
Well, that's a good point, but I'm not sure a lot of people have 49 Packards either. I'm not, you know.
That's true, but something different.
I mean, you have a particular affection for the big, heavy road cars?
Yeah, I like Buicks.
You know, I was just mentioning the other day, we just did the Mopar Mania show, and we did a couple of Chrysler 300s, and I was thinking about that. I've gotten to be 47 years old. While I wouldn't have appreciated those cars that much, I mean, they were okay, but I wouldn't have appreciated that much when I was maybe in my late teens and early 20s. But at 47, the idea of a 400 horsepower big boat sort of appeals to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, you're looking for that nice ride and all that. Anyhow, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Folks, we're almost at the end, but don't go away, because we'll probably be what, Barb?
Right back.
You were right, Bill. We are out of time for this week.
That's right, Kimberly. But before we go, we want to tell our audience that next week's show will be the 8th Annual Fall Festival of Wheels.
Right you are, Mary. And we can tell our viewers that this year's show was the best one yet.
Bill's already worked on raw footage and says everyone is going to enjoy our coverage.
A program note before we leave. Bill thought the September 30th Fall Festival of Wheels would be the last car show of the 1990 season, and was surprised to find out about an October 21st race car and sports car show being held in Mundelein at the Auto World Shopping Center, featuring music, entertainment, and of course, show-quality race cars of all kind, from Indy cars to sports cars.
The show is free, and Motorsports Unlimited is going to be there taping.
I hope it's not too cold.
I'm Mary Hornell.
I'm Kimberly Blackford. Until next week, on behalf of all the lovely ladies of motorsports, thanks for watching. Motorsports Unlimited is produced by Bill Wildt, President of the Motorsport Advancement Crusade.
This program made possible in part by support from Muffler King, located on 9th Street and Lincoln in Lockport, Illinois.
Let's take a moment to thank the stars of Motorsports Unlimited. The lovely ladies of this edition were Elizabeth Rizzo, Kim Donahue, Lyle Ann Seeger, Mary Hornell, Subi Itzenthaler, Barb Piltaver, Marche Harmon, Gina Lisa, Chris Schutz, Don Squire, and Kimberly Blackford. Let's not forget our fine Motorsports Unlimited production crew: John Platania, Paul Marchese, Matt Matthias, Mike Sabatino, Bill Moore, and Chuck Itzenthaler. Music for Motorsports Unlimited was created by the talented folks at Fireside Recording Studio in Westchester, Illinois, and by independent artist Roger Paul.
We would like to thank Star International Talent for helping us find some of our lovely ladies of motorsport. The Motorsport Advancement Crusade is a non-profit organization dedicated to the preservation and enhancement of motorsport. We are entirely funded by voluntary contributions. For more information, write Motorsport. Oh, you can write the whole thing, Motorsport Advancement Crusade, if you like, but mail gets to us just fine addressed Motorsport, P.O. Box 66242, Chicago, Illinois 60666. Or just call area code 312-478-4224. We enjoy hearing from our audience and encourage you to call or write.
So that's it, another edition of Motorsports Unlimited and the lovely ladies of motorsports. And be with us next week because we'll have something real exciting. Bill Wildt's going to have the lovely ladies, and just about anything can happen right here on Motorsports Unlimited. Every week at this time, we bring you the best in motorsports. So be seeing ya. Bye-bye. And keep on rocking.